video, so it looked like Team USA has released some footage of Caitlin Clark going off on league veterans, man, for this one here.
Team USA has just released video of Caitlin Clark putting on a show against seasoned veterans during scrimmages in Durham, North Carolina, and it's spreading fast for all the right reasons. Even with uncertainty surrounding the WNBA season due to ongoing CBA negotiations, Clark is making it clear she belongs on the biggest stage, no matter how some league veterans may feel. The clips highlight exactly why certain players reportedly preferred she not make the Olympic roster last year. Let's take a closer look at what unfolded and why it carries real significance. Before diving into the details, drop a comment and share your take. Will Caitlin Clark take over Team USA camp and secure her place in international competition, or will the veterans come up with another reason to keep her sidelined? USA Basketball recently shared practice highlights from its training camp in Durham, North Carolina, and Caitlin Clark is right at the center of the action, clearly standing out. The program is preparing for its upcoming season, which officially begins March 11th with tryouts and roster decisions. Even though the WNBA still hasn't finalized a new CBA and the league schedule remains uncertain, the game continues in 2026. Clark appeared in just 13 games last season before things unraveled, but she has consistently posted training clips showing relentless preparation as if tip-off were tomorrow. Now, with official Team USA footage capturing her competing head-to-head with established veterans in high-intensity scrimmages, it's safe to say some of those veterans might prefer that this video had never seen the light of day.
Around the corner, Caitlin Clark is possibly about to make a return to the basketball court. Her and many other superstars. Now, we still do not have a new CBA signed, but that is not stopping basketball for coming out for the 2026 calendar year. Team USA, I believe, kicks off March the 11th. They will be having tryouts, and we gonna get some action, bro. That's something we be longing for. Caitlin Clark only played a total of 13 games last season, but it's been great just to see her release some workout footage, just to see her in the gym getting ready for this season like normal, as if the season will be starting on time. As of right now, I believe the WNBA season will not be starting on time, but it is what it is.
Before we dive into the actual clips, we need to quickly address the CBA situation because it's the obvious cloud hanging over everything. There's a strong chance the WNBA season won't begin on schedule. At this point, people are mostly speculating about when, or even if, an agreement will be finalized. The owners have already submitted a new proposal to the players, but there hasn't been a formal response yet. The main issue slowing things down is the revenue sharing percentage. The players are pushing for 30%, while ownership continues to offer 15%. Initially, the owners even removed housing benefits from the proposal before reintroducing them in a limited form, reportedly for 1 year and primarily for incoming players. Still, the real battle centers on how revenue is divided. The players are demanding 30%, which amounts to nearly half of the total revenue pool, and ownership hasn't shown much willingness to move far beyond 15%. That's a significant gap, but we'll break down that entire situation in another video. For now, let's focus on this Team USA footage.
It's good to mix things through the camp, and what I tried to be intentional about was seeing different guard combinations, seeing different forward combinations. And it just so happened that the last day, the combinations I hadn't seen was all the veterans together and all the newcomers together. We're gonna play a 5-minute quarter and we're gonna see who wins it. It's a full game. 5-minute quarter is a full game. 5-minute game. 5-minute game. Hey, let's get this dub. I asked my staff the morning before the last day of practice. I said, I woke up and I thought, let's do this. I said, what do you guys think? And they said, I think that's great. Yeah, Leah. Yeah, Leah. Good find, Steve. Good find, Steve.
Team USA Basketball's Twitter account has been sharing short clips from the women's training camp, and this latest one easily stands out as the most compelling so far. Fans have been waiting to see how the Team USA storyline unfolds for Caitlin following her Olympic snub, and the anticipation is real. This moment feels significant, not only for the country, but for women's basketball as a whole. We're also getting the chance to watch players like Juju Watkins return to the spotlight after being away from competitive action for some time, which adds another layer of excitement. For basketball fans around the world, seeing this much elite talent in one place is a rare and special experience. Still, it's the Caitlin Clark footage that has truly sparked conversation. During the release, the Team USA head coach broke down the structure and philosophy behind the practices. She explained that throughout camp, she intentionally rotated different guard and forward combinations to evaluate chemistry and versatility. That approach makes perfect sense. You want to see which lineups click, who complements each other, and who can adapt in various situations. But then she revealed something particularly intriguing. On the final day, the only combinations she hadn't tested were a full lineup of veterans together and a full lineup of newcomers together. So they set it up that way and decided to make it competitive, a 5-minute quarter to determine a winner. In other words, it was veterans versus newcomers, the established core against the rising generation, with pride and bragging rights on the line.
I'm looking for them to compete, I'm looking for them to pick up stuff quickly, and I'm looking for them to combine with other players really well. They have to be able to impact winning, and they have to be able to combine with each other to make each other better. After being named the national team coach, a lot of time and thought thinking about how do you plan and prepare from a camp standpoint. There was a lot of conversations with Bree, a lot of conversations with Sue, and what the off season for the WNBA players was going to look like, where we were going to try to insert camps and what those were going to look like. And then you start to plan out, okay, in camp 1, what's the goal? And then as a player pool starts to form, it kind of all comes together. We must play like this in FIBA. Physical.
The coach clarified that it was essentially a full game, a single 5-minute quarter serving as the entire contest. At one point, someone jokingly corrected it to a 5-minute game, and everyone laughed because that's effectively what it was. Just before tip-off, one player hyped it up by saying, "Let's get this dub," setting the tone immediately. The intensity was obvious. This wasn't a casual run-through where players were simply going through the motions. It was veterans versus newcomers, with pride and validation on the line for both groups. The coach later explained that the idea came to her the morning before the final practice. She woke up thinking about trying this format and ran it by her staff, asking for their thoughts. The response was unanimous. They loved it. So the matchup was deliberate. The goal was to evaluate how the new wave of players would respond when placed directly against the league's established core in a truly competitive setting. And based on the footage, Caitlin Clark rose to the occasion flawlessly. You can clearly hear the coaches shouting, "Good find, C, good find, C," praising Caitlin for delivering sharp passes and locating open teammates. The footage captures her slicing the ball through tight defensive windows, creating opportunities, and commanding the offense at a high level against seasoned defenders who understand every trick in the book. She looks composed, decisive, and fully in control of the tempo. The Team USA coach also outlined exactly what she expects from players in this environment. She emphasized the importance of learning quickly, building chemistry with different teammates, and ultimately contributing to winning basketball. The standard is simple but demanding. Absorb information fast, mesh well with others, positively impact results, and elevate the players around you. That's precisely what Caitlin demonstrates in these clips. She isn't forcing the action or trying to shoulder everything alone. Instead, she's facilitating, making smart reads, identifying open shooters, and orchestrating the offense the way it's designed to function. That's the difference between a true elite point guard and a scorer who simply brings the ball up the floor. An elite floor general controls pace, reads defenses, and elevates everyone around her. The coach spoke in detail about her preparation after being appointed national team head coach. She mentioned having extensive conversations with Breanna Stewart and Sue Bird about how WNBA players structure their off-seasons, where training camps could realistically fit, and what each camp should prioritize. The goal was to map out every session with clear objectives as the player pool continues to take shape. A T1 moment in the footage, you can hear someone shouting that they have to play this way in FIBA, physical, physical, physical. That detail matters. International basketball is significantly more physical than the WNBA. Officials allow more contact, and players have to battle through bumps, grabs, and constant pressure. Toughness is non-negotiable. You must embrace contact and compete with an edge. That emphasis on physicality is clearly a focal point of these scrimmages. Now, here's why this video carries so much weight, and why it might have some people uneasy. Caitlin Clark was left off last year's Olympic roster in what became one of the most debated selection decisions in recent memory. The explanation at the time was that the veterans already had established chemistry and that Caitlin supposedly didn't fit the system, a justification many observers questioned, though it became the official reasoning. What this new footage makes clear is that Caitlin Clark fits just fine and is fully capable of competing at the highest level with Team USA. She doesn't look like a player who needs to be eased into the moment, and she certainly doesn't appear overwhelmed by the speed or physicality of elite competition. Instead, she's confidently dissecting defenses, using her vision and timing to create opportunities while veteran defenders scramble to react. That reality likely isn't easy for everyone to ignore. There is now visible evidence of her excelling in scrimmages against many of the same established players who were part of last year's roster conversation. The clips show her thriving in exactly the kind of competitive setting critics once suggested she wasn't prepared for. Whether people agree or disagree with past decisions, this footage strengthens the argument that she can perform and succeed at this level. Since entering the league, Caitlin's relationship with some WNBA veterans has been layered and, at times, tense. A number of players have openly supported her and acknowledged the visibility and growth she's brought to women's basketball. Others, however, have seemed frustrated by the spotlight surrounding her and the financial opportunities that came quickly, especially compared to players who have been grinding in the league for years. That tension has shown up in different ways, from noticeably physical defense in games to debates about officiating, and it ultimately became part of the larger discussion when she was left off the Olympic roster. But visuals like this are difficult to dismiss. When USA Basketball itself releases footage of Caitlin excelling against established veterans in competitive scrimmages, that serves as a powerful validation of her talent. It's the national team program effectively signaling that she can compete in this environment, regardless of outside narratives or individual opinions. And the fact that this video is being shared now only adds another layer to the conversation. We're currently deep in CBA negotiations, with veteran players pushing for 30% revenue sharing. Their argument is that they've built the league and therefore deserve a larger slice of the pie. But the reality is that Caitlin Clark generated more attention for the WNBA in a single season than many veterans have across their entire careers. She packed arenas that had been half empty for years, drew in casual fans who had previously ignored the league, and drove merchandise sales to unprecedented levels. Now, with footage showing her outperforming those same veterans who claim to be the backbone of the league's value, it creates a tricky dynamic for both the WNBA and the Players Association.